For this Envision stage of our mask project, you should have a visual verbal page in your art kit. This is where you're going to practice drawing the head of your animal, which will become your mask. You should also have done an internet search to find pictures of the animal that you're going to be making. We're going to be looking specifically at the structure of the head to help guide us in our work in making a 3D mask. For this example, I'll be working with a fox, but you might not have chosen this animal, so I will be mentioning other animals throughout the course of this video and comparing them to the face of the fox. If you were to draw the cartoon face of a fox, you might draw something like this. This is a lovely drawing, but what we're trying to do is imagine a three-dimensional version of a fox's face, and this cartoon is very flat, very two-dimensional. The same goes for this bird. It's cute, but very flat. We're going to examine these photos closely to figure out the structure of the three-dimensional snout of the fox. You have a piece of cardboard with 2 holes in it. That's going to be the base where your eyes go. We will build the snout out from that face. We can imagine the eyes on one plane here. On this photograph, that's this area. Observing the fox's snout closely, you'll notice that it has a nose, an upper jaw, and a lower jaw. All mammals will have some version of this structure. A bird also has this flat plane, but instead of having a snout and a nose, it will have an upper beak and a lower beak. These may be open, as is the case with this bird, or they may be closed. You can see in this photograph where the lower beak fits into the upper beak, and you can imagine how it might look when the bird's beak is closed. You'll also notice that the beak and snout are narrower at the tip and gets progressively wider the closer it gets to the eyes. The same is true here. This area is narrower and widens as it goes towards the back of the head. You can imagine that the snout connects to the plane of the eyes right around here. You can observe this on a bird's beak as well. At the very tip comes to a single point, and then it widens as it goes towards the eyes. You can see the whole width when you look at the top part of the beak here. We're going to try to create a version of that with cardboard. Before we create, however, we're going to envision on our page what that 3D snout looks like. I'm not trying to draw it realistically, I'm trying to imagine how I might create it out of pieces of cardboard. So you might notice that my final drawing doesn't look realistic, but it does look three-dimensional. We're going to start with the front view. That's this one, where the animal is facing us. I'm going to begin with the cardboard piece that I have, which looks approximately like this. And now I'm going to add on the snout. So here I have the front part of the snout with the nose, the top jaw, and the bottom jaw. And that's kind of a rounded shape. So I'll put that on. And now I want to capture how it gets wider as it goes towards the eyes. I also notice that it connects with the eyes kind of at an angle here. The ears are quite large in comparison to the rest of the face on my animal. So if I want to make it look as much like a fox as possible, I want to make those ears huge. Finally, the rectangular shape of the face here doesn't really match what the fox's face looks like. So I could cut this corner off here, and I could add a little bit of fur off to the side like this, and a little bit up here to give my fox a little more fuzzy look. You can follow this process with other mammals too. Just make sure that you change the proportions to match the animal that you're drawing. For example, a tiger's snout is quite a bit wider when you compare it to a fox's. A deer's is very long and narrow. A bear's is very rounded and more narrow than a tiger's, but wider than a deer's. Look at the length and shape of a hawk's beak compared to a hummingbird's or a chicken's. Now I'm going to move on to the side view. That's this photograph. I'll try as best I can to draw my rectangle of cardboard from the side, somewhat like this. And we know that the snout starts wide, close to the eyes, and gets narrower as it goes towards the nose. It also kind of angles down, and here I've drawn it angling up. And I notice this kind of angles in a little bit. And then right here, kind of had the side of the snout as it curved from the eyes down. So I'm going to try to capture that here as well. Put the nose on. This is the upper jaw and the lower jaw. I also want to include the ears. If you remember, I rounded the corners and added a little fur to make my fox look more realistic. You'll notice my drawing is not a cartoon, neither is it a realistic sketch of a fox. It's a drawing that tries to capture the three-dimensional nature of a fox and think about how I might recreate that using flat pieces of cardboard. Before you finish, make sure you've completed the left side of your visual verbal. Go through the checklist carefully and make sure you've included all the necessary details. I didn't include whiskers, but foxes do have whiskers, so that's a thing I might consider putting in my sketch and in real life.